everyone. So I thought today I'd do a painterly version of some Tuscan hills, so a little bit of a Tuscan landscape. So there is going to be a little bit of drawing here. So I'm going to pop in a nice mountain in the background. And then I've got a little bit of some landscape fields coming in, so you can just do like long triangles and that works really well. We're going to pop some trees within these. You don't actually have to draw them, you can just paint them in. And then in this foreground section I'm going to pop in a little Tuscan house. So if I do 2 straight lines there, make this longer, a straight line here. This is slightly off horizontal, as if I'm looking down on it. So I'm going to pop in a little Tuscan cottage. And pop some dots for windows. And have a little chimney here as well. And then I'm going to pop in a little tree there, and it's always good to have a little tree next to the house. I'm going to put more trees in as I go. So this is Saunders Waterford, it's cotton paper, it's about 5 by 7 inches. I'm using the same palette that I've used all the way along. This is a Cotman palette with lots of different colours. And there is a link in the description to it. And then I'm using 3 brushes. A round number 10, a round number 6 and a rigger. So I stick to the same brushes. Okay, so I'm going to come on with my round number 10. Be able to see everything that I'm doing. I'm going to start by coming over this hill and over the sky with a bit of water. So I want a nice even sheen on there. I'm just going to continue to use my round number 10 unless I say otherwise. And then loaded my brush up with water and I'm dipping into the pan that's cerulean blue. If you haven't got cerulean blue, use a different blue, it doesn't matter. It's all about just having a go. So I'm dabbing in, loosely dabbing in. Dotting onto the paper, coming back into the cerulean blue. It doesn't matter that I'm coming over this distant mountain, I'm going to put that in later. Get nice blue sky to start with. If I dip in to some darker blue, this is the ultramarine blue. Just add a little bit of that in there as well. It's always nicer to have a bit darker towards the top of the sky. And then if I swap down to a number 6, this is permanent rose. If you didn't have permanent rose, you could use alizarin crimson. I'm just going to pop in a little bit of rose in here. It's nice to have a bit of different tone in the sky. It's going to mix to make a little bit of purple. The 6 just means I'm in more control. I'm going to rinse that brush off. I'm going to come into this front one now. So we can do this section by section. So that's got a nice sheen on there now. I'm going to come into some warm colours. We want the warm colours to be in the foreground. So I'm going to start with a little bit of cadmium yellow. I'm just going to sweep that through. This is still with my round number 10. And sticking with the warm, I'm going to go into a little bit of cadmium red. sweep that through as well. So we want to get like plough lines on the field. So this is the start of the build up for them. So that's that little bit of red going through. And then I'm going to go into some burnt sienna as well. So burnt sienna or burnt umber would work great. Again, it's just adding warmth, sweeping that through a little bit. Then whilst that's still wet, I've got a little bit of chopped up bank card here, or any sort of plastic loyalty card, and I'm going to use that to indent the paper. So I'm basically just drawing with the corner nice and lightly, and I'm going to start to create that ploughed field effect. So the water in the paint, because it's nice and wet, is running into the indent, so it's creating the lined effect. You don't have to be too precise. My lines have gone a bit all over the shop, but I quite like that. Okay, so I'm going to dry this off and then I'll come back to you. Okay, so that's nicely dry. I'm going to come onto this distant mountain. I'm going to get this in. So that's a little bit of water from around number 10. Then I'm going to come back in with the same sky colour. So this is a cerulean blue, and I've come on with my round number 6. So I'm going to start to get this in here. Doesn't matter if you don't cover the whole mountain with a cerulean blue. It's actually quite nice to get different tones. See that appearing, and because it's the same colour as the sky, you're going to get that sense of distance there. Have a real good concentrate on the line of the land at the bottom, so you're getting that nice edge in there. And then I want to start to get a few trees. So if I'm going to use here, this is Viridium. So this is a very bright green, but any green would work because I'm going to add a brown to it. So a brown or red will make it look very natural. So I'm going to pop some burnt sienna in. So this is all with my round number 6. And that's going to be nice and thick. So I haven't taken hardly any water into that. The thicker it is, the less it's going to move in the wet. And then what I can start to do is just pop in some very distant trees. So I'm just dabbing in lightly with my round number 6. Different heights. And just where it's wet, that's going to start to create some very distant trees in there. Try to make sure you don't get a pattern. So I'm just breaking this up a little bit so it doesn't look at all patterned in any way. I'm going to leave that on that brush because I will use that green again in a minute. Okay, so I can't do that one or that one because that's right next to the wet, but I can come down and do this one. So I'm wetting this section here. I'm going to come around the house, but over the tree. Now I want to go lighter or cooler as I come back. So in an ideal world I'd have raw sienna. I haven't got raw sienna in this kit, so I'm still going to continue to use cadmium yellow at this stage. So I'm going to pop in a layer of cadmium yellow. This is all about making it look like it's gradually going away. And then a little bit of the red to come through. And then I'm going to go slightly darker. So this is burnt umber because it's a slightly cooler tone than the burnt sienna. That's just going to give it a sense of distance. So I'm going to bring a few sweeps of that in. And then just along this edge, I'm going to pop some trees in. So this is that same green mix. It's just still on the brush. Nice and thick. I can have a few trees. A variety of heights again. Just dab, dab, dab. And then I can pop this tree in just here as well. And the one right next to the house. Just make it up a little bit. Okay, I'm going to dry that one off. Okay, so that's nicely dry. I'm going to tackle this in one big section now, even though there is two sections within this. So there's a little bit of water going on. I'm going to dip into some lemon yellow because the lemon yellow is cooler and that's going to send this back. So we're going to give it a sense of distance with a little bit of lemon yellow, and then the cadmium yellow can come again towards the front. So we're getting that gradual blend. You can see that working already. So rinse my brush off. Gonna dab into the burnt umber again, keeping this nice and cool now in the background. I just want to sweep in a bit of shadow. So you can always dab off on kitchen towel if you don't want it to be too fluid when you're using a bigger brush. That's nice. Okay, and then I'm gonna pop in some green trees again. So I'm just making sure I've got plenty of this. Now, as we're going further back, we do need to make sure that the colour isn't too bright. So make sure you put plenty of burnt sienna in. I did the first time. You want to make sure it looks nice and natural. And you can have some bigger trees if you want them. So this is on that edge that's wet, but it's coming to the dry edge, so you're going to get a nice sharp edge here, but you're going to get a nice soft tree because the paint's nice and thick. On this one we've got no dry edge, so we're going in and it's going to sit more fuzzy, which should work because we're going into the distance. You can do a few either way, so you start to get some groves or fields appearing. All of this is giving a good sense of distance. If it looks too light in any places, you can come in with a little bit of the neat burnt umber. So I've just dabbed in. Take a little bit of that through. I've not rinsed my brush in between. And that also helps give a real nice depth. You can sweep some shadow through, a few sweeps. It's looking good. Okay, so if I come into a totally different red now we've not used yet, this is alizarin crimson, so this is going to pop out that roof on this Tuscan villa or house. I'm going to pop that in, so that's a red roof. That's just from around number 6. Pop in a red chimney as well. And then if I come into, I've got ivory black here, but Payne's grey would work as well. And you can swap down to a smaller brush if you want as well. But I'm just going to dot in the windows and doors, just with a tiny dash. Okay, I'm going to dry that one off. Okay, so that's nicely dry. What I have just very quickly done is put a light wash of the cerulean blue just on this side of the house and dried that off, because I wanted that to be dry. So you've got a lighter side to the house and a darker side as well. That's just to really give it an extra bit of dimension. So what I want to do now, I mean, it's a lovely picture just as it is I'm going to make it more painterly. So I'm going to come back in and just do a few dashes and dabs and bring it to life with more of a painterly feel, with a nice loose feel. So I'm using my round number 10, lots of water, and I'm going to come in first of all. The trick with painterly is to keep to the same colour tone. So this is the cerulean blue coming in, and I'm coming on to dry. So I'm just starting to bring out a few little bits, and a little bit of the rose. So it's all added dimension. Add a little bit to the mountain with the cerulean blue. I'm just going to work my way down. A little bit more of the lemon yellow, a little bit more of the cadmium yellow in places. So I'm just dotting through a little bit more of the cadmium red. I'm not even properly rinsing my brush now. I want to go really nice and strong down here. I've already got a nice build up. The bolder that I can get this and the warmer I can get this, the better it will work as a sense of distance now. When you're adding more colour, you need to ensure that it's still going to work. There's ways and means of doing it, which is often adding more dark to make the colour work. So that's a little bit of the cadmium red gone in. I'm actually going to use a little bit of the rose in here as well, and a little bit of the alizarin. So I'm going to really bold it up here. And all of this is going to go into those indents and work really nicely. Just take up a little bit more of that cadmium yellow along here. So I'm getting right to that edge. I want that to feel really bold so it gives a really nice sense of distance. Swap down to a number 6. I'm going to pick up burnt umber. So this is what I mean about the fact that I've added the colour and I need some dark to make it work. So I'm going to bring in a few strokes of the burnt umber. I'm going to bring in a few strokes of the burnt umber through the mid-ground as well. I need a little bit of the burnt umber to come on the bottom of this tree. I'm just dabbing off. Bring that in a little bit. Nice to get a few looser marks in here. So this isn't actually totally dry. It just works to just play with a little bit of this dark within here. So I'm just going to keep stroking through. It's working really nicely and effectively now. I'm going to take a tiny bit of the ivory black. And again, this will help to make it work just in that foreground. Tiny dash there. I'm going to use a little bit of the cadmium red on the roof just to bold that up a bit. And then I'm going to go back into this green mix. Just bold up a few bits just on this foreground here and around the little Tuscan house. It's giving it a really nice rustic feel. Okay, I'll dry that one off. Okay, so that's nicely dry. I'm going to do one more layer on this foreground. So this is dry, and I'm coming on with cadmium yellow with my round number 10. You can see already that's just really bolded that up. This is what glazing is brilliant for with watercolour. You can get such lovely effects. That's a bit of the cadmium red going in, and then a little bit of the alizarin crimson. So you can get a real sense of distance just by doing that glaze in the foreground and letting that everything else recede. Everything else is receding. In fact, if I take a little bit of the cadmium yellow just into this one as well, it'll help that recede more in the background as well. You can see that happening just as I'm doing that. So that's just a little bit of that cadmium yellow coming over, and everything's starting to recede really nicely. Touching a little bit of the cadmium red. It's sort of a gentle recession that you want, so you get that sense of depth and distance. Okay, I'll take the tape off. So there we are, we've got a beautiful Tuscan landscape in a painterly style. So I've showed you how to do the wet in wet, how to do the glazes, how to do the soft trees, how to do the texture with the credit card in the foreground. I hope you've really enjoyed it. Got plenty more in my painterly style playlist, which I shall pop here, and I'll pop another video here, and I shall see you next time. Bye.